little bit of a different conversation point today. I'm Mike Harrington of the Buffalo News, along with our award-winning college sports reporter, Rachel Lenzi. And Rachel, we are here to discuss beer. Imagine that, college sports, college basketball, and beer. But there is a legitimacy to it with what's going on at Canisius and St. Bonaventure. You can read about it in Rachel's story at the Buffalo News. Tell us what these schools are doing from the marketing end.
Well, think about it. About 10 years ago, alcohol, beer, whiskey, moonshine sales, any kind of alcohol sales was almost taboo in college sports. There was no union between the two entities. There was a lot of pearl clutching around the possibility of selling alcohol at college athletic events.
Couldn't buy it at the games.
You couldn't.
No.
I mean, the most you'd see it at was maybe a tailgate pregame, kegs of beer, kids doing keg stands, beer pong games. But about 7 or 8 years ago, schools started wising up and said, hey, we can find a revenue stream through selling beer and alcohol at these events, including the University of Buffalo. About 10 years ago, the Oklahoman found that maybe 30 to 40 football bowl subdivision programs sold alcohol or beer at their athletic events. Now it's more than 90% of the 134 FBS teams, including the University at Buffalo. And more schools are catching on to this trend, saying, hey, we can not only make a few bucks, we can expose ourselves, including Canisius University. Canisius just introduced it, flip it around here, got to show the Griffin off, just introduced the Canisius Fan Zone IPA in conjunction with Ellicottville Brewing Company. Ellicottville also put out a Bonnie's Fan Zone IPA for St. Bonaventure, and we're putting out both in the names of journalistic fairness as well, too. So Canisius is getting into the beer game as well, too, and that's one of the things we're looking at today is how this union between Ellicottville College Sports and Canisius University came about, as well as the more broader trend of alcohol sales in college athletics, whether it's to benefit the athletic department, to benefit name, image, and likeness collectives and efforts by schools. And with the House settlement coming in, where athletes are going to be paid by the NCAA mandate in April, it's supposed to be ratified in April, that's another possibility for revenue streams. I think it's the University of Tennessee has a moonshine that they're promoting. Kentucky has a beer that benefits their NIL collective, and now Canisius, they're going to be getting revenue, about 10 to 15% from sales, wholesale particularly, that's going to go back into their athletic department.
Now, as a Canisius alum, I have to say, it's no shock that St. Bonaventure has a beer in its name. No offense to everyone we love down at the Riley Center and in the environs of Olean. But Canisius now has jumped into it. And, you talk about promotion, and I look here, they've even taken the Griffin's Den, the end zone at the Kessler Center, where some of their prominent alums hang out before and after the game, and they've rebranded it as the EBC Canisius Fan Zone for Ellicott Brewing Company, Ellicottville Brewing Company, as a way to promote their product.
I mean, you're a Canisius alum. You covered college sports, before you covered the Sabres. Did you ever think you'd see Canisius University sell beer at its athletic events?
Well, in many of these events, many NCAA tournament regionals you attended, there was no beer because we can't have the students buying beer. And I think we've understood now, just from the standpoint of revenue in these sports, that they have to have alcohol sales and they have to monitor things, certainly. And you're talking an on-campus gym at the Kessler Center. You're talking the Riley Center with a great history since 1966. But all these places now realize the revenue streams need to be realized. We've seen that at UB also. They understand that you have to maximize all revenues, and especially in the days of NIL now, these schools need that kind of money coming in.
And I remember talking with Mark Allnut, the athletic director at UB, when alcohol sales were approved at the University of Buffalo Alumni Arena and at UB Stadium in 2018. And I asked him the same thing. I said, was there, kind of some pearl clutching, again, there's that term, about alcohol sales at college athletics events? And he says, he told me, it's not about the alcohol, it's about the fan experience. What else can we introduce to kind of make things a little more hospitable? And of course, there were safeguards on it. I think it was like a maximum purchase of 2 beers per person or whatnot. Right. Alcohol sales are cut off after the third quarter at football games. I mean, it's not like you just buy a keg and sell it. There are a lot of state regulations and a lot of, guardrails that are put in place for alcohol sales. So everything's above the line. It has to be above the line as well. So, I mean, even at Canisius, they can only sell beer in the Ellicottville fan zone as opposed to at the general concession stand where you buy pizza and popcorn and whatnot as well. So it's regulated.
And the other thing, too, is we now are seeing these schools, even at the smaller levels in a small building like the Kessler Center, Niagara's Gallagher Center, UB at Alumni Arena and the stadium, and Bona at the Riley Center are a little different level, but everyone is looking at premium areas. Can we give our alums, can we give our top donors more of a premium experience at the game? And certainly they're going to want alcohol. They're going to want to have a beer during it. No offense to Canisius. They may need a couple beers the way Canisius has played this year so far. But they're going to need premium areas at all these places. And even if you have a small 2,000-seat gym like the Kessler Center, Canisius is working hard to try to find some premium experiences.
You could, Mike, again, you covered college sports for a long time here at the Buffalo News. Could you imagine the Riley Center or Kessler Athletic Center back in the day if it had beer sales, maybe for the Bona Temple John Chaney cookie game in 2000? I mean, I'm sure there was some alcohol consumed before the game, but
yeah.
I mean, would that kind of, make a more of a tempest in a teapot had there been alcohol sales, or was that even a thought in the mind back in the day?
No, back then, it's funny you bring it up. We just passed the other day the 25th anniversary of the Cookie Gate game with John Chaney. That cookie landed about 20 feet to my right. I can still see it, but you're right. You could not have imagined that. It was certainly a taboo subject. We went to NCAA regionals. You didn't see a lot of alcohol sales. Some arenas you saw none. And now everyone has realized it is a different era. The revenue streams are differently. And, fans want it. And ultimately, what we've seen in professional sports is teams catering to fans, giving fans the experience they want. A lot of these fans attend college events. They want the similar kind of experiences. And if that means a beer, that means a beer.
All right, Mike. So should we try the beer? Should we crack open the Canisius Fan Zone IPA?
We should at least have the Canisius alum try the Canisius Fan Zone IPA, right?
Right. I know how familiar you are with beers, IPAs. They're a little hoppy. They're of the pale ale family. A little higher alcohol, alcohol content as well. I think this is a 5% from what I saw, and I'll partake there as well, too. Very glad that the higher ups were able to
just
approve this.
Approve the point, yeah, and show the point. But you're right. It's just an interesting avenue for Canisius to go down. Bonaventure did it. In Ellicottville Brewing Company, certainly people know if you're heading on the way to Olean to go to St. Bonaventure, you can probably drive right by Ellicottville Brewing Company. So there you go.
And you could buy this, Canisius said you could buy this at Wegmans, Tops, Consumers Brewing as well, too. So,
all right, here's to Canisius.
Cheers.
And no offense, St. Bonaventure. Good luck with your venture as well. A definite hoppy Canisius beer. It works for me. We'll just have to see where it goes. Now they have to just work on the effort on the court. They're working off the court, and I know it's been a tough start for Jim Christian. And just in this last minute here, a quick thought on the Big Four, since we're talking with the Big Four and basketball. And Bonaventure clearly head and shoulders above everybody else thus far this year.
The Bonaventure men, they couldn't close out LaSalle the other night. They lost in overtime. But they came back with a pretty strong effort against a Richmond team that's been down lately as well, too. And again, St. Bonaventure men, the UB women could be in contention for the MAC title as well, too. There's a rebuild going on at Canisius. I think Jim Christian, walked into a new situation here. I always say the first-year coaches get a mulligan with all the changes
Needs
in college
a few more
athletics.
of these. What's he got? One win so far?
One win so far. So, yeah. All right, well, hey, again, cheers. Read more about beer at Canisius and St. Bonaventure in the Buffalo News on Saturday's Buffalo News and online at www.buffalonews.com. I'm Rachel Lenzi, college sports reporter.
Mike Harrington, Canisius alum. Be on the road with the Sabres next week. Seattle, Vancouver, Calgary, Edmonton. Please follow along.